right, everyone. Hello. It is a Monday evening or a Tuesday morning for some of us. What's up, Alexander? We see you. It is time for us to talk about one of the biggest moments in Youtini's history and in our lives as friends. We're excited about it. We got a little bit of news up top. Can't wait to get to it. So excited you're here. Wes, you're so far away, but you can still punch it. Welcome to The Living Force, the only podcast that is officially for light and life. We're talking tonight all things Youtini, all things Star Wars books, and I'm one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson. And joining me is the man who became so sad upon our departure that he had to rebuild his entire office, Dr. Corey Helton. Hey, man.
What's up? I got a new space. Look at, I'm closer. I'm closer to you now, both physically and emotionally after our trip.
Feel it.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah. Oh, I feel it. I feel that just intensely as I feel the confirmation of the extreme tallness of Dr. Charles Hankel. Hey, buddy.
It is now fact. We know exactly how tall everyone is, and that's the only reason that I showed up in Nashville. No, had a great time. I was not excited enough to rebuild my entire apartment, but I don't have many choices. I still have a Christmas tree back there. Don't judge me.
Oh, we won't judge you at all for that. Except in the chat. If you judge Charles, F's in the chat for Charles's reputation. But you know who always will have a stellar reputation? The man who fought back nature itself to get back to Texas. Wes Jenkins.
Hello, everyone. Big thank you to Timothy, our CFO, for having a conversation with his wife and her suggesting that he leave on Saturday night. Because if that wouldn't happen, I'd still be in Asheville. Which isn't a bad thing, I guess. I sent my boss like multiple emails, and he finally this afternoon was like, "Hey, did you make it back?" I was like, "Thanks for caring." But anyway.
Well, we care. We're happy you're back. We're happy all of you are here in the chat with us tonight as we celebrate our first meeting that happened over the last week. A couple things before we get into that. For those of you that aren't on the video, you don't see I am wearing my brand new High Republic for Life and Light beanie, which can only mean one thing. My hair is going to be terrible for the rest of this video. And also, the out-of-print future Youtini nomination cover of the year, Fallen Star, came in today. And oh wow. My good guys, it is as gorgeous as we thought it was when we saw it originally.
That is fantastic.
Absolutely love it. The book, of course, is great, as you can see in our reviews on Youtini.com, and it's signed by the queen herself, Claudia Gray. So if you ordered this, it should be getting your way soon. Thanks to our friends at Out of Print, not for sending us one, but for making these in general. Please keep making these exclusive book covers. They're so wonderful. And if you got these, we want to see those. Take pictures, send them to us, let us know. And of course, if you're watching the video, I would be very sad if I didn't say, make sure you're liking the video. Make sure you're subscribed on your podcast channels. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we're doing this stuff all the time. And sometimes we even make cool graphics like that one. I just missed it. Oh, it disappeared right as soon as I pointed. But thank you all for tuning in. And thank you all for supporting publishing by ordering things like this. All right, speaking of support, we want to say a quick thank you to our new monthly patron, Adam. Adam, we hope you're enjoying all the things we have over at patreon.com/Youtini. A lot of cool extra content, including everyone. You thought it wouldn't happen. You thought it was a lie. You thought it was fake. You thought we forgot, but we didn't. The Rogue One commentary has been recorded. The four of us watched Rogue One together in the same spot. And gentlemen, how did you feel about this commentary compared to our audio ones, which I do love, but this one was a little special?
Yeah, I thought it was a ton of fun to do. It was probably the most fun commentary I think we've ever had to do. I will say that the quality for the listener is probably going to be the least good of everything. Turns out that recording everybody's audio in person is really hard, especially when the sofa that is in the Airbnb is like, enormous.
It's comfy. I didn't want to touch you guys. It was the reason. So the audio is echoey because we didn't want to physically touch each other too much. Just know that's the reason, and we're sorry about it.
But it's the very first commentary that we did where everybody was in the same room. And I'm sure that we said in one of these commentaries, like, wouldn't this be so cool if we all did it in the same room? But we did it. We did it together.
We did it.
We did it.
And-
We did it. I'm glad it was for Rogue One too. Man, the movie is so good, guys.
Yeah, spoilers. We're a lot of the commentary is silence because we're just like, cool movie. But if you're on Patreon, that is coming your way soon. And of course, all our extra shows are up there, including Cafes, Star Wars Archives, The Ghost Crew, and you get some of those 3 months after if you're not on Patreon. But of course, you want them when they drop. Right? So head on over there to get all the extra content for Youtini and to support everything we're doing here in the new year. All right, Wes, let's hit him with the Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
It's the Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
All right, not a lot of Star Wars book news this week, except for a couple things. Number one, a huge Youtini Living Force congratulations to Claudia Gray, the aforementioned queen of Star Wars publishing, on The Fallen Star, because it has debuted at number 13 on the New York Times bestseller fiction list. Not genre fiction, not whatever, all hardcover fiction books debuted number 13, which makes it, let me check my notes. All right, every single High Republic novel.
High Republic is dead, Eric. It's dead. Haven't you heard?
Just
I'm
let
sorry,
it go.
I forgot. Star Wars is dead. It's unfortunate that they are just inflating these numbers, clearly. No one wants these except for everyone. So, in all earnestness, a huge thank you to the community for continuing to support this initiative because, as we have shown in our conversations, in our reviews, in the conversations you all have been having, we love this initiative so much. And things like supporting the publishers, getting those pre-orders in, especially during a supply chain issue, shows everyone that we love this era. We love these characters. We love these writers. So, Claudia Gray and all the Luminous crew, congratulations on a continued just massive success with the High Republic. Now, another thing that deals with supply chain and publishing, you may notice that I show a lot of hardcovers on this show. We do get sent some of the hardcovers for review. We do not get sent the extra ones, but I like to hardcover collect. Generally, a lot of us like to do digital or hardcover. So sometimes we don't get paperbacks. And y'all, maybe that's a mistake. Because this past week...
Maybe? There's no maybe about it.
All right, we discovered some amazing things here. First of all, this is the cover to Queen's Peril by E.K. Johnston. This is the paperback version that came out last year. And we loved this book. We wrote a stellar review of it where we sang its praises.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, the review was liked enough that it's on the back of the paperback.
Holy crap.
Youtini.
Look at it.
Listen.
Look at it. It's on the back of a paperback book.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's nuts. That's
Eric,
nuts.
do you wanna
And
read
word-
it?
Listen, read
Oh,
it.
sure. Yes. So on the back, for our audio listeners, it says this. Throughout Ahsoka and Queen's Shadow before this, E.K. Johnston has shared with us her ability to craft characters that feel much more like old friends than fictional protagonists. With Queen's Peril, Johnston has reached a whole new level.
Well,
Youtini said that.
Youtini said this. When this was brought up to us in our Discord, because our community is amazing and is way more on top of it than us, I screamed so loud when this happened this week.
Yeah, we freaked out. I think this is probably the biggest single moment in Youtini history where everybody just absolutely lost their mind. And what's hilarious is this book has been on the shelves for weeks, and we had no
For months.
idea.
Since October.
Yeah.
It came out in October.
Since October. No, I think it was later than that. I think it was late. Wasn't it November?
November was
remember.
the
If
other.
only there was a way
the
we
other.
could
There was
find
another?
out.
I know.
There's
I know,
another?
it's in the
There's
October 2021, which is my birthday month,
Okay.
and I thank you
months.
for the present.
This has been on the shelf for months, and nobody in the Youtini community has noticed. We haven't noticed. I don't know how this happened, but nobody noticed. We didn't notice, so we all just had this insane moment of freak out. Like, Youtini's on the back of a friggin' Star Wars book, guys. I hope everybody realizes just how big of a moment this is for both you guys as listeners and like the community and the team. Like, This is such a huge moment. I invented the word Youtini, and it's now printed on the back of a Star Wars book. Like, it's just this is like
Incredible.
I feel like we've made it. Like, if we achieve nothing else, like this is it. This is enough.
Yeah. Corey, I don't mean to take your thunder away, but you are actually incorrect. I don't like when you lie to our audience. We're not on the back of a Star Wars book. We're on the back of 2 Star Wars books because as we were in Barnes & Noble together looking for Queen's Peril, we're like, oh, let's look around. And then we looked at Victory's Price, a novel that was nominated for the Youtini Book of the Year. And at the top of the book, there was another quote that says, one of the more important books to grace Star Wars shelves in quite some time, Youtini.
It's in yellow. It's in yellow, bro.
Above
it's in yellow, bro.
the bio. It's above the bio.
I know, right?
Look.
It is. It's crazy. There it is. There it is. Look at it. Look at it.
The
it's
very
yellow.
top one too. The first thing you read when you flip the book over.
Yeah.
And how
crazy.
many of us
And-
don't flip over the back of the book to see what's
you
on the
just buy
back to
it.
see if you want it, right? Besides
Yes, I feel
looking
like
at the
lots of people
cover.
do that. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I know, and this is a big deal for us too, because like, you know, we got on the back of, as soon as this happened, we found out about Queen's Peril. We were like, okay, we're on the back of a young adult book. This is really, really cool. But young adults are a different publisher, right? It's
Disney
like
Lucasfilm does the young adult, and then
Right.
Del Rey does the adults. Yeah.
so we're like, okay, so we've broken into one publisher. It'd be really, really cool if we could break into both publishers. Turns out we'd already done it. and we accidentally found out about it. So this week, it feels like this week it happened, but in
Yeah.
reality, it's been months ago. This week, Youtini found out that we were on the back of 2 Star Wars books, and oh man, it's been a good
Yeah.
week, guys.
and there is like, in the moment of it was amazing. Like, for so many reasons. Like, obviously, as Corey said, it's our company. Like, it's the fact that the community, that all of you have enjoyed this community so much and have built this up and told your friends and formed connections and just gone to our site and things like that, have made us reputable in the eyes of publishers. And we truly could not have done any of this if no one cared about what we do. So thank you all so much. We are, it sounds cliche, but like, I'm honored and humbled by this. This is,
It feels fake.
So-
this is a dream.
yeah,
I'm gonna wake up
it
sometime.
feels
This
like a
is
dream.
Yeah, we would not be anywhere without
No,
the community that we
blown away.
have with us here, and it's like I'm so glad everybody shares our vision and our positivity and our ache for more Star Wars. Like, we could not do this without them, and you guys are all doing your part by showing up live every week and by listening to the show, and like it just astounds me every single day that anybody gives a shit what we have to say.
It's,
But
it is wild.
It really is not just the numbers, right? Like, people
No.
who listen to the podcast or people who visit the site, like, you know, look at me, judge me by my size to you. Wearing a Yoda
Yeah,
shirt,
right,
so that feels right. Like, it really is about the impact that the community has, and however big our community is, like, the people who run Star Wars essentially looked at it and said, like, hey, I really love this positivity. And we've only been able to keep that going because everyone who joins the community is 100% on board with that.
Yeah. And a huge
Absolutely.
thank you as well goes out to like our friends at the publishers. I mean, Tom, Lauren, Lissa, like the fact that you all believe that our words and our community is worth the respect of putting on these amazing books that we love so much means the world. Thank you all for keeping publishing going, for all those things. And thank you all again for reading. So cool. Stephanie, who knows? There should be a bunch of High Republic paperbacks coming out. Check your paperbacks as they come out. We did check Light of the Jedi. Nothing yet, but you know what?
Also,
we are
we,
going to be much more intentional about letting you know when paperbacks are coming out.
Yeah, that is correct. We made the executive decision as the team this week, as you could imagine, to we're going to put the paperbacks on the release schedule on the website.
Yes, we are.
for obvious reasons.
And
for
once
no other
Youtini is
reason
not
than
on the
to-
back, we will probably take it off.
Yeah, once we break into hardcovers, we'll just take that off quietly. No. But real talk though, like we've talked about doing the release schedule for the paperbacks for a while now anyway, so this kind of works
Time to
out.
do it.
So, yep.
Well, we're very excited. And again, whether you've been here since the beginning, whether like history teacher gamer, you discovered us just recently and burned through all our stuff, all of you, we are all the Youtini, right? That's the whole thing. So thank you all so much. I can't believe we haven't used that yet. But we are going forward. And of course, if you want your books, whether they be paperback, whether they be hardcover, check out the Youtini release schedule. Upcoming next, we got Midnight Horizon, Daniel Jose's YA novel, which I finished this morning. And a review is coming out next month. But what I will say right now, if you don't pre-order this, what have I ever done for you? Like, I don't know. Like, you got to pre-order this book. It's going to light the internet on fire in every good way. And of course, aside from that, the High Republic Tempest Runner script book of the audio drama is coming out on March 1st. And I do believe we're going to talk about Tempest Runner. I scroll here now. So check out those. Get those pre-orders in. Amazon, Bookshop, Books A Million, whatever you want. It all helps Youtini. It all helps the community. All right, Charles, we have 2 great book reviews to talk about this week. Hit me with them, maybe.
Yeah, we do. All right. The first review we have is from Elizabeth M., who read Queen's Shadow by E.K. Johnston, gave it 5 stars with a review entitled First Star Wars Book I've Read. Great choice. She goes on to say, as you can guess based on the title, this was my first Star Wars book and it did not disappoint. I love the handmaidens' interactions and seeing them get personalities was great. Padme was long overdue for some justice and this book delivers it. I like seeing all the girls' unique skill sets and how the development of the Amidala persona was done by committee. Super excited for Queen's Hope. And you've also got Queen's Peril to read, right? Like we were
Might I
just talking
suggest
about.
the paperback?
So, might we do that? Yes. All right.
Absolutely love those.
And then our second review, Corey, you want to read what Ultimate Sauce has to say?
I will absolutely read what Ultimate Sauce has to say. This is from Ultimate Sauce 8, and he or she reviewed the High Republic Tempest Runner by Kevin Scott, gave it 4 stars. The High Republic doesn't miss. I finally got around to listening to this one in the run-up to reading The Fallen Star, which means my expectations were very high, and this story delivered. I found the main protagonist, Lorna D., surprisingly fun to explore after her not being that huge of a character in other High Republic media up to this point. The past timeline, although at some points slightly confusing, provides a satisfying level of depth to Lorna's personality and good reasons for where she has ended up in the present timeline. The side characters were also quite enjoyable, with Counselor Whittick being a personal favorite. This audio drama also ties up some very interesting loose ends from The Rising Storm, also by Kevin Scott, and though it wasn't, in my opinion, the same quality as The Rising Storm, the end of the arc is decently well done. The production value that comes with the the production value that comes with the audio drama medium is also amazing, with high-end sound effects and music to bring the whole story together. A solid recommendation for anyone who's interested in either the character of Lorna D. in her role as a titular Tempest Runner, or any fan of the High Republic Initiative, and let's be honest, who isn't? The High Republic Tempest Runner, bronchitis. Sorry,
that's right. And I'm legit so interesting with that review to see what people think of the script book, because we talked about it in our roundtable and our reviews that the performances were good, but sometimes it was some characters got confused. The timelines, like Ultimate Sauce says, could get a bit confusing. So seeing it in print may be super cool, like with Dooku, like with Dr. Aphra. So if you pick that up, let us know. The script book has a separate page for it over on Youtini. We want to know if you did both. Did you like one more? But of course, that is coming your way in March, when we are all going to be, I'm sure, destroyed multiple times emotionally by the High Republic by then. And of course, if you want your reviews on this show, no matter what, look up your book on Youtini.com, scroll down to the bottom of the book profile, give us a star ranking and a little review, and we may be able to read it on this very show. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to take you along with us to our very first meeting in Asheville. See you in a minute. It's what Jimmy McGinty says Shane Falco needs.
Is absolutely
Charles is calling! Put him on! Put him on! Wait, is this a first-time caller?
Hello, you are live on The Living Force.
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yes, what's your question?
My question is for Wes. Why does he think that he can do my job?
Corey put me up to it.
Oh my god.
Because Corey made you do it? That's your answer?
Oh, man, this was...
I'm enjoying the show. I won't interrupt anymore. Have fun.
Bye, buddy.
How canon is Darth Bane? Obviously, he is samurai body voiced by Mark Hamill since season 6 of the Clone Wars, and they reference Bane's order and all that. You created the ruler too, but he was the worst Yoda I've ever done. I'm getting tired. It's been a long week.
Is that what that was?
I
thought you were having a voice moment.
Yeah.
I didn't even get the
coughing
word
fit.
structure right.
Oh man.
Edit that in post, Rick. How canon?
you put this image of in my head of Piet just whipping out an Uno reverse card and slapping it down.
Bam!
Take that.
Yeah, I don't. That Vader does not play Uno though, so I don't think that would be a wise long-term discussion.
He doesn't have the patience for it. He just force chokes everybody.
Exactly.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So tonight is a very special show, and we were pretty sure what tonight was going to be all about for a while, but once a lot of you kind of asked how our week was, how our meeting was, we had no choice but to dive right in. But before we tell you a little bit about how our week went, how our meetings went, Corey, you took today and created something very special for our viewers and listeners.
Yes, I did. Now, I do want to say that we had a lot of requests in Discord and kind of from different folks in our community to like do a live stream, do something together, and we kind of tried. We were gonna do Bounty Hunt live, and it just didn't work out, right? The internet quality at the Airbnb we were staying at just didn't really work out. And also, what we're talking about here, we haven't really clarified that necessarily, is all of us we have some new viewers in the comments and stuff today too as well. We've been doing this show for 3 years now, right, guys? Something like that. It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3+ years, 100.
years.
So I checked episode 1. Episode 1 was mid-April 1990 or 1999. Jesus. 2019.
Almost 3 years.
1919. Yeah,
So
almost
2019.
3 years. Almost 3 years we've been recording this podcast together. And Eric, you get credit for this. You made this trip happen. Eric's we have to get together. We were gonna do it last year, but COVID happened, and then that threw a wrench in everybody's plans. And Eric, you pushed us to do it this year, and I don't think we would have done it without you being so pushy about it. So I appreciate that.
Of course, man. It was me. I was realizing so often during the COVID times, right, when everyone's missing their people, I had the moment of why am I not more socially unhappy, I guess, in a weird way. I was why am I kind of seeming to do better? And it was because of you guys. And I was man, if I'm this good just slacking and zooming with you guys all the time, we gotta meet in person. We have to do this. So once we all got vaccinated, we all agreed we were gonna test, we'd be okay. We figured out there was a weekend that worked with everyone's vacations, and we were you know what? Let's do it. Let's do the thing.
Let's do it.
And then
For sure.
flights were booked. And then for, let's see, now 4 days in Asheville, North Carolina, the 4 of us and our CFO and good buddy Tim, who I believe is in the chat right now, and our Patreon manager, you've talked to Timothy Guthrie, joined us. And, well, I don't want to say too much yet.
I know. Chaos ensued. And we knew from the beginning this had to be a trip kind of focused around content creation and going kind of out of our way to film as much of it as that we could. I mean, this was a momentous occasion for us, right? I mean, we've never met in person. We've been doing this thing forever. We have a huge community that'll be interested in all this behind the scenes footage. And we knew we wanted to turn it into something. And then Charles, you get credit for this one. You had the idea to turn it into a documentary. And I was that is genius. I've always wanted to do a documentary. That's really, really cool. So we filmed the whole time, basically almost every single minute we were there. And we have literally hours of footage. I went through all of it today, and there's something insane, 10 hours of footage or something like that. It is so much video footage. And I watched a little bit of it here and there just so I could organize it and everything, so our editors can help us build this thing out. And we've decided that we're going to turn this into a pretty decent documentary. We filmed some interview stuff, some really cool stuff, and we're going to make it a Patreon reward. We're swiftly approaching $1,000 a month on Patreon, which is insane. And we're sitting at about $800 now, I believe. So we're going to try to make this our $1,000 Patreon reward. One, because it'll give us something really cool to look forward to, and two, because we kind of need a little time to edit it because there's so much content, right? It's going to take a ton of time to edit this. So, we're going to release it once we hit $1,000, whether that's in a month or whether that's in June. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we're probably going to make it that Patreon reward. And today, when I was sorting through all the footage, I made a little teaser trailer for it to kind of see some of the behind the scenes stuff of things crazy that happened on the trip. So Wes, you have the thing queued up. Let's roll it.
I think that's them up there. Maybe not. JK. I saw red.
They might not be here yet.
I saw red and thought it was him. Oh wait, that's them.
Dude, this is what I'm talking about.
Holy shit!
I don't understand how people
Get in,
get
It's open now.
There we go.
What up?
What is up? What's up, guys? Oh my god! I knew you were sitting on a box. What's up, buddies? Oh my god! I've met you before, but it's so cool. I know. I know!
Touch you. Let me touch you guys.
I was telling Wes, but I saw him.
Well, at least you and George will be properly two-windowed. You know. That's a big question we're gonna have. Yeah, that's what's the interview. They do. I can't wait for you all to build projects. And okay, guys, thank you so much for making our Thursday. Even better. Always love it. Thank you so much, guys.
I don't know if surprise is even the word because I fully expected this to be kind of easy, and it really is. I mean, it feels like just a podcast, but we're all a little taller.
That's kind of the main thing I like about Youtini is a group of like-minded people. We're all trying to enjoy Star Wars and not have people shit on it. That's really the main thing.
And I hope that this is not a one-time thing. Like, I hope this is not a documentary that we do about that one time that we met, right? Like, I think that this is probably the start of something really cool.
Not done yet. Don't click.
Oh,
on it. No, shit.
Oh no, it wasn't going.
no.
I think that's them up there. Maybe not. JK. I saw red.
They might not be here
I
yet.
saw red and thought it was him. Oh wait, that's them.
Dude, this is what I'm talking about.
Holy shit!
I don't understand how people
Get in,
It's open now.
There we go.
What up?
What is up? What's up, guys? Oh my god! I knew you were sitting on a box. What's up, buddies? Oh my god! I've met you before, but it's so cool. I know!
Touch you. Let me touch you guys.
I was telling Wes, but I saw him.
Well, at least you and George will be properly two-windowed. You know. That's a big question we're gonna have. Yeah, that's what's the interview. They do. I can't wait for you all to build projects. And okay, guys, thank you so much for making our Thursday. Even better. Always love it. Thank you so much, guys.
I don't know if surprise is even the word because I fully expected this to be kind of easy, and it really is. I mean, it feels like just a podcast, but we're all a little taller.
That's kind of the main thing I like about Youtini is a group of like-minded people. We're all trying to enjoy Star Wars and not have people shit on it. That's really the main thing.
And I hope that this is not a one-time thing. Like, I hope this is not a documentary that we do about that one time that we met, right? Like, I think that this is probably the start of something really cool.
So we're playing Trivial Pursuit.
This is a contest.
Oh my god. No way.
What? One of the most important and greatest Star Wars shows in quite some time.
Holy shit! We just discovered we're on Victory's Prizes paperback.
What the hell? Sorry. Sorry. We know we're being bad. Okay, now we gotta check them all.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
Oh my
Let me
god.
dry my
Good
eyes
job,
real
Corey.
quick.
I know, seriously.
Thanks a
great
lot,
job,
Corey.
Thank you,
Miss
thank
you
you.
guys,
You're
man.
welcome. You're welcome.
So that's what's coming y'all's way. So again, we hit those goals. We keep moving up. We are so excited. There's so many, like Corey said, hours and hours and hours and hours of footage. And credit to y'all in the chat for already finding some stuff in that little teaser. And I was gonna start this very organically. I was gonna go, how do we start the trip? But we gotta jump into one of the things we saw. Besides, yes, Blind Fate's me being the shortest. We also have to jump in to an interview we did. We did conduct an interview while we were there. Because our good friend of the show, two of our good friends of the show, reached out, and they both got some projects going on. And we said, you know what? There's a bit of a time difference. It'd be tough for us to work during the day. But we're all going to Asheville. So would you be available? And they were. And I got Charles. Can you tell the good folks watching and listening who we were lucky enough to interview while we were all together, and which interview is probably coming out, I believe, in the next week or two?
Yeah, so we had the pleasure of interviewing maybe one of the dynamic duos out there of Star Wars and now of the High Republic. After a recent announcement, a lot of people already noticed their faces there in the video, so they know it was none other than Kevin Scott and his best buddy, George Mann. We got to talk to both of them at the same time. There was a lot of best friend banter, I think, on both sides of the conversation, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was really phenomenal to see them in their element. And I mean, guys, we got near the end of the interview, not to give too much away, but we got pretty open and pretty emotional with them, which I think was not accidental with all of us being together for the first time as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember a specific question that I had asked, and they talked a lot about trust and how they both completely trust each other with their work and helping each other out. So that was a good little bit that I hope that everybody takes away from the interview when they see it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and if you've been around Youtini for a while, we've talked to Kevin before, we've talked to George before. They're all wonderful. We will talk to them endlessly, but there is just something very, very special about having the two of them together. I mean, watching the two of them, even through Zoom windows, just go back and forth. You get
so fun.
You get a glimpse into a real,
It was so fun.
friendship.
I know. Kevin showed up first and just like shit all over George Mann. It was fantastic. I'm just like, dude, that is absolutely what I would do to Charles if we were in an interview together. Like, it was fantastic, man. And they were a lot of fun. I'm really glad that we got to accommodate their schedule. Like, this is not something necessarily like unusual for us because we have folks in the UK on the Youtini team that we often have to try to adapt to, and usually they just end up staying up super late so they can work with the schedules and stuff. But it was cool. It was a lot of fun. We all crammed on that stupid little couch that you saw, and my anxiety was like through the roof. Like by the end of it, I'm like, I'm way too close to all these people right now. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So yes, you did see that. We will be releasing that coming up. So keep an eye out both on audio and video as we do. Can't wait to hear more about that. So guys, now let's take it back. Let's go a little bit early in this trip. How do we get to Asheville? We already said we planned it, but how do we get there? What were your nerves or thoughts initially going on this trip before we all met each other?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I couldn't detail it. I couldn't put it into words. I didn't even really think about how it would be until I got onto the plane, until I started recording. It was just, I was like, well, I'm just going to meet these guys that I've been meeting with technically for weeks on end, and hopefully it's not weird when we first
That was
meet
a big
up.
vibe. Hopefully it's not weird. Yeah.
Hopefully it's not weird.
It's not
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like
I'll say that, like, I mean, we've been doing this thing for so long, and we see each other, and we're used to, we have the same angles, right? Like, I will say this is an interesting factoid for anybody who's ever met their internet friends or never met their internet friends before. Everybody looks just a little bit different than you expect them to. It's so interesting.
It's so
Yeah.
true. So Wes and I flew into the same airport because Corey and Charles and Tim all drove because they're all from the South. Well, Wes is from the true South in Texas, but they're from the Southeast. And so Wes and I flew in. So I met Wes at the airport, and I the first time I saw you, Wes, you were looking somewhere else, and I saw this guy from behind, and I legit was like, "Is that Wes?" Like I thought it was.
I found that video footage today, Eric. So I got to watch all y'all's footage
sweet.
that
So
you
that'll
recorded
be in
separately,
there.
and Eric's like walking around. He's like got his phone out or whatever. He's like, oh, I think it might be that guy. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna keep walking past. Oh shit, it is that guy. It was like funny, dude. I was like,
wild.
I was
Wes
trying
is taller
to-
than you think, and the hair is not as. It's better than you see on camera. Wes's hair is impeccable. It's so good.
Oh, you're too nice.
It's a weird thing that I think we realize that you assume. I know we talk endlessly about height as a joke, but seriously, you assume everyone's height based on the angle of their camera that they use every week. So
Right.
we all presumed Wes was the shortest because his is probably coming down the most, and we were all surprised.
Yeah. I was trying to catch Eric off guard in the airport. So I was trying to get a video of him as he walked in, and we were just going to do the slow-mo jog to each other and embrace each other in the middle of the airport. And in fact, that he snuck up behind me and scared the shit out of me. So, which wasn't very hard to do. So everybody had packed the night before or a day before, and I packed probably at 11 p.m. and my flight, I had to get up at 3 a.m. to leave at 3:30. So I started packing at 11. I didn't finish till about, I don't know, 1:30. So I sat in bed with my eyes open for 30 minutes and decided just not to sleep. So I didn't sleep that whole day. The first day I was going on 0 sleep, and I think I stayed up for like 2.5 days.
Yeah, and Corey, because Wes didn't sleep at all, what's the first thing we did after we picked us up before we even put our bags anywhere?
We went drinking.
We went drinking.
I was gonna say, is this a trick question? Because I'm pretty sure we all just started drinking immediately.
Yeah. We're like, hey, do we need to go back to the housing? No, we're in Asheville. It's at a brewery. And literally, we had known each other in person for 28 minutes, sorry. And then, because everything in Asheville is 28 minutes away, don't let anyone tell you different. Which is also the max amount Charles can be in a car. Charles, I didn't know that about you until this trip.
Yes, there are a lot of inside jokes came out of this that we will probably drop on the show in the future. The ones that we can drop live. And if
The documentary is going to have a lot of swearing in it. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
We're gonna
by
have
the
to-
way.
It's
absolutely going to have to hide it. That's why it has to be a Patreon reward, because it has to be hidden behind a paywall, because it's not good enough for, like, Charles and I are doctors. Okay, we can't have this on the internet out there about us. All right,
it's if the show is PG, this documentary is rated R. But if you watch it, if you do get the chance to see it, and I hope as many of you as possible do, then you will probably pick up on some inside jokes that we drop in the future. You'll be in on those too.
Yeah.
So here's a quick pic of the first meetup at the first brewery on Wednesday.
Nice.
So this is
Oh my gosh.
first. And
Man,
nice.
these guys
There's
all
Tim
got
too.
yeah,
There's
and
Tim.
Tim.
That's what Tim looks like. If you've never seen Tim, the Patreon manager, there he is, right there.
Yeah.
And these
this
guys all got go
I
ahead,
took
Charles.
that
Sorry.
picture.
No, I was just gonna say this conversation, I think we pretty much recorded like 90% of it. And,
Yeah,
it,
we
and
did.
it was seriously like the first time we all sat down together, actually around a table. We've done enough round tables. This is the first time around a real table. And I'm super glad that we just had that camera rolling. And I'm really interested to go back and listen to that just for myself.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, it very much felt like, you know, I was trying to describe to Caitlin what this thing was like, because I describing this to people, nobody gets it, I don't think, right? That like they're like, oh, cool, you met up with some of your friends, that's pretty cool. I don't think anybody understands how big of a deal this was for us, because like there is this like sense of like profound importance, I think, to our meeting up for the first time, because like I mean, you're right, Eric. Like we've all been friends on the internet for like years at this point, and like I think you're right. We got through the pandemic because of all of our relationship.
We looked at the amount of Slack messages that are sent in Youtini a little while back, and it was in the hundreds of thousands. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And not to mention that it could have gone horribly and there could have been no show tonight. Like
Yes!
we could have broken up the band.
Oh my God. I didn't even consider that. Like, that's what could have happened. Yeah.
We just stayed in our rooms the entire weekend and didn't come out.
Yeah.
I'm also glad you said that about that first little conversation around the table too, Charles, because like there was this weird sense of like picking up with friends that you haven't seen in a long time. I mean, it's kind of how it felt.
It felt like a
you know,
bachelor party. Like one of us was getting married, and we all were like, "Oh yeah, we used to go to high school together."
Yeah, exactly. It's like I haven't seen you since college, man. How you been? That's how it felt. Like we just like picked up where we left off, and there was this. I don't know. We had some really heavy conversation just around the table that first time about therapy and stuff we were going through, and it's like the fact that we were able to get to that point like so quickly is just a testament to internet friends are real friends, guys. Like they are.
Yeah.
Like if you talk and hang out, it's like they're real. It's real. All right. It's real to me.
It's something that you really wouldn't get in your if you live in a small town or even a city, because you're around just a small area and you make friends with the people in your area, right? But if you branch out and find friends along the internet, I mean, there's a lot of people that enjoy the interest that you do, Star Wars, whether it be sports or whatever. You can find those people on the internet, and then through luck and through time, you can meet up with them, and you can just have your own little Youtini retreat, whether it be Asheville, North Carolina, or Houston, Texas next year, right, guys?
Hey, man. I mean, maybe.
I mean, I'm down. Like Eric, I think you actually picked Asheville, which is funny because Charles and I have both been to Asheville way more. This is your only time you've been to Asheville, right? So
that was it.
It's
My
funny that
first time.
you picked that location, and we picked somewhere that was kind of central to all of us. And Tim, we ended up actually kind of making this just like we originally planned for it just to be let's all get together for like a weekend, and then it turned into like a 5-day trip. And then we're like, all right, let's make a documentary. Tim, you live in Knoxville. That's like super, super close. Why don't you come with and hang out? And I gotta say, guys, Tim was a fantastic addition to the trip. Fantastic addition.
Yeah.
It would have been very different without him.
Seriously, Timothy Guthrie is an A+ human and has also met a lot of the Youtini team really in his travels.
Yes.
Like, I'd met Tim when he came to Chicago. And it was just such a great moment because number one, Timothy, heads up, man, not only did you literally have the camera out at all times, you had to as your job, you're also just like an absolute great hang. If you're lucky enough to know Tim, is just a glorious friend to have. And I think that's what I realized as you were talking there, Corey. We all started from a very similar spot in our friendships of like, he likes Star Wars books enough to be in a company and talk about it weekly. That is a specific amount of friendship. And all of you listening and watching, I assume you are at least in that bit of like, I like Star Wars books enough to listen to a podcast weekly. Like that is a defining feature where you can start friendships. But beyond that, this weekend, really, especially that first brewery, and then we hit another place. I believe it was the second day called Antidote. Or no, that was the first day. The hangover was the second. The first day was Antidote. But we hit this place. There was like a cocktail bar that was like your typical dim lighting, really good drinks, and like leather chairs or whatever. And we sat around. And these guys that I started talking about like Obi-Wan and Thrawn with, and that I still love doing that. We were talking about like, hey, how's your family? What are you worried about for your future? Like, how did religion play a part in your life? Like all these things. And honestly, some of it's gonna make it into the documentary. Some of it honestly won't, because I think those are conversations that the five of us will carry with us for the rest of our lives. And I hope to pick up on next time we're together.
For sure.
But it was that like, man, I have not had conversations like these with people I've known for 20 years. And it was just that moment of like, I can't imagine my life without you dudes in it. And I can't believe this moment is happening so easily.
Yeah.
And also real quick in the chat, we will upgrade that at UtiniCon in the future. Let's see, January 17th.
We're on the back of books now, guys. So like, sky's the limit. Right? I know.
Yeah. But what you said, Eric, I think is so important, because Star Wars, I think, kind of unintentionally introduces all these deep ideas. Like on the surface, it's laser swords and good guys and bad guys, but like it introduces some really deep thoughts. And I think it was the same way for friendships that formed around Star Wars, right? Like, yeah, we talk weekly and like we're just on here laughing and carrying on about sometimes some superficial stuff, but it really easily shifts into those deep conversations.
Some of those roundtables, man, some of those part 2 roundtables, like
the part 2,
we
part
go.
2s always. Yeah.
Antidote was a part 2 roundtable for sure.
It was the second
part
day
7
too,
roundtable, bro.
So that makes
Oh, was
sense.
the second day? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I totally agree, and I do hope that we can put some of that stuff in, right? Because
definitely.
if you are just interested in that kind of stuff behind the scenes for Youtini and the Living Force specifically, like that is going to be in the documentary too. Like, yes, it's about Youtini, but also it's just about friendship. It's like the idea of friendship and what it means to come together, especially on the heels, really still in the thick in a lot of ways of like a pandemic where everyone had so much isolation and whatnot. So there are some bigger ideas, you know, that are in Star Wars, but that are beyond Star Wars as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing to bring up too, Charles, because like, you know, just so we're not just talking about how it was for all 5 of us really to meet up in person, right? Like we spent a very large part of the week discussing at a foundational philosophical level, what is it that we have here? Like, what is this thing that we've made that like, how did we get, like Charles, you said multiple times, I love that you kept saying this, is like, we have no business knowing each other. The fact that we're just like, we all are just in the same place at the same time. Like, it's just insane. Like Charles and I are at the same place in our careers. We're not that far living away from each other. You guys all heard me on a freaking podcast and like emailed me out of the blue. Like the entire concept of like a community and like building an idea around a positive idea. I think that's key, right? Like it's not just, and we always talk about like, yeah, we're just here to be positive about Star Wars, but like we're not shills, right? Like we recognize flaws and things like that, but like we talk so much about choosing the joy. And so we spend a lot of time talking about like finding a community or finding your place, like finding people to connect with and like what that means and how you go about that and how you do that, because like that's important for life, right? That's what purpose is, right? That's like why we all live, is like, Charles, I listened to part of your interview of like when you're talking to the camera. We did all these kind of like sit down professional interviews of lighting. You saw us setting that up in the trailer there with a couple of clips from that. And like Charles, you said like we have a limited amount of time on Earth, like these moments that you have with friends and family and things that you can build and really care about and hold deep down in your core, like hold those memories deep down of like that's what life is about, man. And like that's what I want to spend my time doing. And that's such an interesting concept that we've all just sort of found this community here. And I hope that Youtini can kind of be that for lots of people, even if it's not just like, you know, meeting up with people that you like and you're friends with on the internet, but like I hope that you can find that small ounce of joy from connecting with people that value the same things that you do. And I love that we spent so much energy on that this week.
Yeah, and I think one of the marvelous things about that, Corey, you talk about how many things had to go right for this all to happen. How many things had to go right for every person watching and listening to find this community or to find the people that you love in your life. Like Stephanie, you put in the chat, like in all seriousness, we watched Rogue One during this trip. Everything is as the Force wills it. And I think that's one of the cool things we talked about with those lessons, like you're saying, Charles, with Star Wars having these deeper lessons. And on that note, another thing that I really wanted to point out about us and about some of you that are maybe thinking about meeting people either in the Youtini community or that you like as well. I was kind of amazed at how much what you see is what you get there is. You know what I mean? Like, I was just amazed that, like, what you see on this show, it could be characters. It could all be characters, right? It could all be like, we perform a bit, this is a show. But when
Especially
I got
Eric.
there, yeah, like this is it, you know what I mean? And I think we literally got there, and while we were drinking, we're like, what do? We play Star Wars Trivial Pursuit and watch The Siege of Mandalore. Like, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We watched Solo, we watched Rogue One, we put on New Hope to get up in the morning. Like, I was kind of surprised that basically all the things that we talk about on this show were actually what we do. Because I feel like everyone kind of you pretend a bit when you're around people that like Star Wars, but you kind of downplay it a bit. You kind of downplay what you want to do, and it's like, no. We are the people that talk about Aralani, and we're the people that like. I mean, Corey, you played Trivial Pursuit with a level of mastery that was like not only mind blowing, it was slightly erotic, and it kind of changed the way I view the world. I thought that as Corey played Trivial Pursuit, I looked at myself in a mirror and said, "Why do you think you know things?" Because I don't, but Corey does. You had memorized every movie in its entirety. You had played it with the skill of a chess master playing 4D chess in the middle of a snowstorm in Siberia, but you didn't care because you were going to get all those pizza pies. Solo was on in the background. That was me as a diversion, you rookie. I tried to stop you, but you said, no. I'm going to leave you in the Mimbanese mud, and I'm going to take over, and I'm going to take over this game, and I'm going to get the coaxium shipment and deliver it to Dryden Voss, and you did. And it was astonishing. And that was a great moment in the trip. So honestly, we know the things we know. We are the people you think we are. And I think that was one of the things that I was so thankful for, that I didn't have to, put on a veil of what we did non-Star Wars
everybody was I really felt like everybody was unequivocally themselves during this trip.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I didn't feel like I had to fake it at all.
With
like,
the R rating, as Charles said. That's all the difference was.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about really personal stuff. We talked about family stuff, or relationships. Like, we talked about everything. Like, it felt like I didn't have to hide at all, right? And like we've talked a lot about that at Youtini, that we've tried to build a community in which you don't have to pretend to be someone else, right?
Yeah.
Like, because we all felt like that growing up, like watching Star Wars. Like, we all feel like you had to pretend like it's not that cool. Or
you hide the paperback behind an encyclopedia or something. You're like, no, I'm reading the newspaper.
When you read the paperback, you fold it around, right? So you don't see the Star Wars, right? I did that growing up,
but
right?
you still see the quote on the back. That's the most important thing.
I know. That is the most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would say that everybody was genuine. Nobody was put up a veil, and nobody was trying to be something that they weren't, right? And we could all tell. We could all tell, like, if you're trying to hide something, because we've been talking to each other for like 3 years now. I mean, we know, right? So, but just meeting everybody for the first time, it took me, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes to realize, hold on, I've been chatting with my friends for the past 3 years. I don't have to act different. I don't have to act weird. I don't have to watch what I say, because everything that I say is genuine and it's true. So
it's the angle of the neck. Like, honestly, if I told you that out of all of us, one of us got up in the morning and went on Goodreads and looked at what kind of books he could read while listening to lo-fi music. One of us made a really mean burger. Like, you know who these people are. Like, it was very clear, and it was just a really great way of realizing that not only can we create a company together, not only can we run these shows, but we can also live our days together. And it also, on a bigger level, as I'm seeing the chat here, I mean, erotic Trivial Pursuit, strip Trivial Pursuit, everything has a price. Patreon is still going, absolutely. But it does make me very excited and hopeful to a thing that we talked about a couple times on this trip that we still are unsure about, and that's Star Wars Celebration. Because I think that Star Wars Celebration is the place where a lot of people that live slightly more isolated lives come together and meet people that either you've tweeted at a bunch, your Twitter mutuals, or YouTube, or Discord, or whatever it may be. We have all of these isolated lives, but we've talked with these people for so long, and you finally meet each other. And that's why you hear about all these fun parties at Celebration where people are like, oh my God, I've loved your stuff forever. I've loved you forever. And it's so energizing. And this weekend was kind of like a mini Celebration preview for me too, because I've never been in that situation with you guys, obviously, or any of our team members. And we are still not sure whether it's happening at this point. Nothing has said it's not, but given that E3 canceled its in person for June, also in California,
It would be surprising. Yeah,
we will see. But if it does happen, and everyone does their part to make sure it's going to be safe and it's going to be okay, I think this was so encouraging for this community we've built to see that if we're all like this and we all have a good time, and you all listening or watching or engaging with community kind of at least like what we do and like who we are all going to have such a marvelous time together, because we're all going to be able to pick up like we never left, like we never didn't know each other. And it's just going to be such a fun time of seeing friends, and it got me kind of doubly excited for what this could be on a bigger scale.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. And I don't know if Celebration does happen. Now we've applied for everything. Now, like getting on the back of the books is like an insane accomplishment. You know, I think the icing on the cake is if we get a booth or a panel at Celebration this year, which we've applied for, like I will feel like we've achieved everything that I ever set out to achieve. Like with
I will
company.
blow out a microphone at that panel.
Yeah, absolutely,
you know.
absolutely. But if we don't get those things, right? If we don't get the official recognition that we're seeking and working hard towards trying to get, right, with the panel and the booth and all that stuff, if we don't get that, that doesn't matter. Celebration is still going to be an insane time, and we're going to put all the budget that we have set aside to do those things. We're just going to throw it into a really sick party, which is going to happen regardless if we get those things, right?
Yeah, it's beer money. We're gonna have our little bit of Asheville. We're gonna take that, put it into Photoshop, and then we're gonna expand it. And we're going to bring folks in and just be like, hey, isn't it awesome to love things? What's your name?
Yeah.
Want a drink? Like,
Yeah. Be looking for it. Be looking for it. If you go to Celebration, if this is the only time you listen to the show, be looking for the Youtini party at Celebration, because if we all make it to Celebration, it's going to happen. You know, we have some folks on the team, actually. Freddie over at Legends Look Back, he actually lives very close, basically in Anaheim, essentially, right? So, like, we're gonna ship him all of our gear. A bunch of us are staying with him if it happens, and he's got some really good ideas about places we can make it happen. So, you know, keep an eye on the website. That's going to happen if we make it a Celebration, and be on the lookout for those event details. That will happen.
Freddie, I hope that you are aware that we were going to ship all of our stuff to your house. So, but I hope you caught this live.
Well, guys, here's where I am now. As we look towards the future, we look towards this trip, I think it's only fitting that we tell folks this was going to be a 5-day trip. And then what happened was, on the 4th day, we're all sitting around. We were on a call with Freddie, actually, hilariously. We're on a Zoom call. We're all sitting around on Friday night, actually. My phone buzzes. I go, oh, interesting. Maybe it's a text or something. I look, and it's a notification from American Airlines. I go, oh, that's my airline. I'm flying out in 2 days. What could they possibly want? And I look, it's not check-in. It says, hey, your flight's been canceled. And I'm like, that's not great. And I wondered, I'm like, okay. They put me on a later flight, no big deal. None of the notification. Your flight's been canceled. I say, all right, this is not great. So what we did was immediately, all after our call, go into problem-solving mode. And we realized that the biggest snowstorm in years' history was about to hit Asheville. And there was a decent chance that Wes and I were going to be stuck in the southeastern United States. And I was lucky enough because, Charles, can you tell the good people how you literally saved my my weekend, my trip from being stuck in the middle of North Carolina?
Yes. So I let Eric ride with me back to the city I was already going to. That's how good of a friend I am.
So nice.
Charlotte has a massive airport, and the storm front, the ice storm of, I don't know, the past 5 years in the Southeast was moving west to east. So if we drove to Charlotte, that I was going to anyways, because I already had to leave a little early to go to a friend's wedding, then we were going to beat the storm, and we were going to let Wes just fend for himself with the rest of the boys. But we got out of there.
We did. On Saturday night, we rode the storm, as Mark Hanrod would say, except we didn't. We got out early. And I got to say, on camera, I don't know how they'll ever see this. Nicole, who works at American Airlines in the Charlotte airport, is a hero, because I had an 8:20 flight. And I got to the airport early because Charles was great enough to drive me. We had those hugs you saw in the teaser. That was our last meal together.
Mm-hmm.
We drove up. We listened to Fallen Star, hilarious on the way up. And I got in the airport, and I was ready by 6:30 for an 8:20 flight. And I knew the storm was coming. And there was also a 7 p.m. flight. And I'm like, hey, I went to the gate. I said, hey, Nicole, is there any way I can get on this flight? And she said, oh, yeah, there's so much room. You will be on this flight. And she got her manager over. They got me all figured out. And I had a basically empty plane with no storm problems. I got off easy. I got in perfectly safely. And it was great, because then as I landed, I got all these Slack messages that Wes was having a little issue. So, Wes, how was your way out of Asheville?
Well,
Man, that was a wild experience.
Here's a little thing. I don't have a name, but United Airlines. It would be incredibly helpful if you sent an email or a text message to me and tell me that my flight was canceled, because I got a message saying it was delayed on Saturday. I didn't get the message. No, I had to go into your app to figure it out. And then I had my feet up on the couch about Saturday night, and Corey was showing me one of his favorite cartoons, Futurama, and we were getting ready to watch, like, I don't know, probably the first 2 seasons. And then
accurate.
Our good friend Timothy comes out and says, "Hey, by the way, my wife had just told me that I probably should leave tonight because the storm's gonna get bad." And I was like, "Interesting. Let me just take a look."
They were paying much closer attention than we were. We originally planned on finding because Eric wanted to watch some sporting event that I'm not aware of. He wanted to find
NFL
something.
playoffs, Corey. The NFL playoffs.
Before you get into that.
Something of minor importance. We were walking around downtown. We were going to find like a sports bar or something to watch it at, right? And here we go. Yeah. So we were walking around downtown, and we peeked in this sports bar. Eric wasn't with us; they had already left, by the way. And we were walking by this sports bar, and they had the freaking weather pulled up
instead
of sports. They were not watching the NFL playoffs game. They were watching this insane storm that was about to roll into Asheville on like the big projector screen at the sports bar. So it kind of worked out. You wouldn't have got to watch your sporting event anyway, Eric.
Oh, no. Then Wes.
So continuing, I checked the United app, which is very well put together, and I noticed that there was a red triangle with an exclamation point inside of it. So I click on that, and hell, if I'd have known that my flight got canceled, not just delayed. So my flight got canceled for Sunday morning, which I was supposed to fly out of, and it also got canceled for Sunday afternoon. And then I just checked to see how many flights were going out of Asheville on Monday. None. Tuesday was the next flight that would let me go out of there at about like 5 p.m. So I was like, this isn't good. We can't have this. So the next flight or next area available would be Knoxville, Tennessee. And who lives in Knoxville, Tennessee? Timothy Guthrie lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he's so graciously let me ride with him to Knoxville for the 2-hour trip and drop me off at a hotel right by the airport, so I didn't have to go very far. And I woke up early at 6:30 for a 9 a.m. flight, and it got pushed back till about noon. So I was there for a little while. I had a bite to eat after I had a little breakfast, and then I got on the plane and touched down in Houston at about 12:30. So it wasn't all bad, but the thing is, we all got home safe, so that was the main point.
Yeah.
We almost did it. People think that if you're not maybe in the Southeast, or maybe you just weren't affected by the storm, you might think we're exaggerating. The Airbnb owner that we were staying at emails Corey and is like, by the way, if you guys aren't going to make it out, you can stay there. Oh, and even though you lose power, it's okay. You can just use the fireplace. They were just
and they were like, oh, we'll cut you a deal. We'll cut you a deal. Only $100. You're probably not gonna have electricity, but only $100. I was like, come on, this should be free. Come on.
You're like, I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, we're not heathens. We cleaned up before we left.
I know. The South is not prepared for winter snowstorms, and it almost got us all trapped in Asheville. We all made it home.
We made it home.
But what's crazy is if that had come through 4 days earlier, right? 4 or 5 days earlier, none of us would have even made it there. So,
that's true.
Because this was not
the
an
only
easy
window.
Yeah, this was not an easy trip to coordinate. Obviously, coordinate have residency schedules. They're pretty restrictive. Eric and Wes had to fly halfway across the country. If it had been just a little bit off, we would still be sitting here having never met each other in person. So we were lucky.
That's true.
Yeah, and I can't believe you said in the chat, we said it earlier, it is as the force wills it. Everything worked out. We had great times. The weather, we got to sit outside for a couple of those breweries. We had had our jackets, had a good time. It got a little chilly on some nights, but anytime
towards the end,
it was totally fine. We did some other amazingly fun events that are, again, all on video. We cannot wait to edit this together for you guys because it's really just going to be fun. I can't wait to see it, frankly. So I am just so thankful that, one, I got you guys all as friends. And Tim, if you're not on this call, we love you. And I'm so thankful that we, after 3 years, got 5 guys from different cities and different time zones to get the same days, to go to the same place, to outrun a winter storm, to have just an absolutely phenomenal time. So as we wrap up this retrospective, I want to ask, one by one, we did this before we left, so there's an official answer, but now it's the unofficial answer. What's your biggest takeaway of our first ever meeting as friends? Charles, start with you.
Oh man, okay. So I will expound upon this more in the documentary proper when that comes out. But just to be brief, I think this experience really cemented for me like the importance of found family. Because as Corey said, I said a few times, like I have no business knowing you guys. I did something very out of character for myself, even sending that first email to Corey to try to join the Youtini team however many years ago. And just looking back at that and looking at the hours that I've spent talking to you guys about something I'm passionate about and that I love, and how that has progressed into genuinely some of the best friendships that I have on the face of this earth. And to kind of culminate in a way with this entire trip was just so special. And we've made it this far and had these experiences, and I don't think any of us is planning on going anywhere. So I'm already looking to the future, to what's coming up next for us.
Corey Helton grunt test.
Oh man, passes the grunt test. Let me tell you.
All right, Corey, what do you got for your own grunt test?
Man, like I feel, I've been talking to Caitlin. My wife, of course, is a therapist, right? So we've talked a lot about my feelings.
This is cheating at life. That's such a great thing.
It is cheating at life. It really is fantastic. And like I told you guys earlier, my spirit is just full right now. Like I just feel like I have had a whole bunch of points on my purpose. My purpose punch card, that's a better way to put it. My purpose punch card, a whole bunch of points just got punched, right? Like, I feel like, I've said 1,000 times that Youtini has just shaped my life in ways that I had never imagined. Like, getting to do this crazy thing that we do together, getting to meet you guys, like, it's incredible. It's incredible that we have this. But I don't think, and we talked about this a lot on the trip, is I don't think that what we have here is necessarily a miracle, right? I think that there's a recipe for finding joy like this. And yes, you have those things of the right people in the right time and all those types of details, but like there's a couple things that like stand out that we really try hard to do here that just attract the right people, right? Like we focus on joy, we focus on positivity, right? We focus on finding the things that you love and the things that you want to enjoy intentionally, not just like we just love everything because we don't love everything, right? We talked about, check out the most recent episode of Bounty Hunt. We didn't love episode 3 of, Book of Boba Fett, right? So, but like we just have a community here where we're so singularly focused on a mission that like really brought all of us together in this weird and unique way. And like, I think everybody has a place, right? Everybody has a place that with people that share the thing that they have, right? Whether that's Star Wars or knitting or dogs, like I don't know what it is, like, but there are people out there that share the thing that you love, and like you just have to find that community and find out how to connect to it, and like that is what life is all about, is finding these small moments of joy. And it's incredible. I look back on this experience, it's incredible that we even had the joy, privilege, and honor to even make it happen. Like, it's just insane that we were able to be in the same place at the same time. It just worked out, and that we know each other for so long. It's insane. Like, I just don't even have the words to describe how profound this entire experience felt. And I'm here for it, man. Like, if there's anything that has absolutely put the nail in the coffin of like, Youtini is here for freaking ever, this is it, man. Because like, I cannot see a future in which you guys are not in my life at this point. Like, and that's a incredible thought.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wes?
So like Charles said, we'll rehash this in the documentary. Found family is great. That's exactly what I was looking for. Kind of like what Charles was saying as well. But finding friends that accept you for who you are. is really one of the main takeaways I took for this weekend. I was telling the guys during our second night that I was invited on a hunting trip. I mean, these hunting trips come up quite a bit, but they were like, "Well, hey, aren't you coming down for this?" I was like, "No, I'm actually not coming down this weekend. I have a trip set up with my Star Wars friends I do the podcast with, and my buddy's just like, may the Force be with you." And I just know for a fact that they were shitting on me the whole weekend, and that's just how my friends are. Everybody breaks each other's balls, but I mean that's fine. They can do that and make fun, but I like this thing. I like the thing Star Wars that I have that they don't, and it's just like anybody's hobby. Like whether you like sports, whether you like horseback riding, whether you like IndyCar racing, it's that something that brings you joy. And mine is Star Wars, and I've found this group of people to share my Mondays with, to share my everyday with, pretty much, and talk about the thing that makes me happy. And I don't think that's wrong, and I don't think that sorry, and I don't think that's something that that you need to hide. You don't need to be bashful about it. So finding this community, finding my friends for life, is something that I'll never forget, and I'll always have you guys to talk Star Wars with. I never not want to watch Star Wars after these damn shows. Like every time we have these shows, I want to go back and like watch Rebels or Clone Wars or something. So I mean, thank you guys for being there for me, for allowing me to like this thing that I thought that I made fun of, and it's nothing to be made fun of about. It's something to embrace.
Dang. Yeah. All right.
Your turn, Eric.
Yeah.
What is left? What is the profound thing that you have to say, Eric?
Yeah. Oh my God. Ditto. No, like and obviously, in addition to all three of you, this trip, I had a lot of expectations for it personally, and somehow it still exceeded them all within the first hour. And I mean, I learned that I unabashedly love you guys. Like you're all saying, I can't imagine a future that you're not in, and that's awesome. I'm very excited about that. I feel like that's the best kind of friendships, best kind of relationships, when you look ahead in your life and you don't even think twice about whether I'll have Youtini or I'll talk to Corey, Charles, and Wes on the daily, because it's a given. And I think that's what I've realized this weekend, is that you are a given in my life, whether it be the weekly shows or whether it be now at least our annual retreats. I can't imagine this weekend going better, but I know that everyone's going to be better than the last one. And like you said, Wes, I'm so thankful that something that I love has brought me people that I love so much, and has brought me just so much freaking happiness. And I didn't realize how much I missed seeing you guys when I'd never seen you in the first place. And the only downside about this whole thing is something that Corey said, is that, God damn, do I miss you now. I know now what it's like to have y'all in the same room.
Right. I'm depressed as shit right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also can't wait for it to happen again. And I'm already, as we're wrapping up tonight, I already can't wait for next Monday. And I think that's one of the greatest things about this whole thing. So all y'all that listen and watch, I hope that there are people in your life that are your Corey, Wes, Charles, and Timothy's, because goddamn does it make life better, and it makes life pretty freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, you know what? We are gonna go keep being bros. We're gonna go keep living our lives. And
Keep
you
being
all,
bros, doing that bro shit.
That's right. Find your bros. Find the people you love. Reach out in the Force and find them. Tell them you love them. Tell them you can't wait to see them, because they need to hear it too. And now, my friends, that'll do it for this week's episode of The Living Force. If you support us on Patreon, thank you so much. You are the reason that this documentary will get released in the future, and we hope you're enjoying everything that we have up there so far. A special thank you goes out to OK Endar, Jeremy Kazina, JG Karst, Earl Q, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Matt Billington, Tyler Latour, Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C, and Sailing Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. You can find us on Twitter. The show is at Living Force Pod. The company is at Youtini_US. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey is at Jack Star Wars MD. Charles is at C Hankel, and Wes is at Boss Wes. Official thank you to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor, Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire, Wes, our producer, community manager, Timothy, our filmographer, and Nicole at American Airlines. Thank you to Corey, Charles, and Wes for podcasting with me tonight and for being my brothers every day. And as always, may the force be with you.